Hello, everyone, and welcome to Betting on Sports America Digital. We kick off the Sports Betting 101 track in really strong fashion. We have something of a fireside chat, very Fezzative themed for the 1st of December with PXP Financial US CEO Kamran Hedjri. Kamran, how are you, my friend?
Thank you very much, Joe. Very good. Very excited to be here. Fantastic. Yeah.
Brilliant. And PXP has really expanded into the US market in recent times. I just wondered how to kick things off, just give us a bit of background on that expansion into the US and how you found it at PXP.
No, it will be a pleasure. It is our second time coming to the US, right? We started back in 2013. Already when the online gaming started to get regulated in few states. One of the states that we started to come in, it was New Jersey. It was exciting for us. Back then, it was one of the things that it was all new and exciting. And we expanded into the state and we got our approval and we had the first tipping of toes into the water and gathering experience. And during the time, there was also a natural move for us to come to the US because, if you know about the PXP actually has got a lot of gaming experience. We went to all the different European markets where you have got a national regulatory environment. Every country has got its own national regulation, like France, Germany, Italy, all Spain, and we were expanding all to the different states. And one of the things that helped us actually to move, it was a natural move to come to the state as the regulations started to open up. And it was like 6 years we were processing. 2019, nothing really much happened on the market. And all of a sudden, the regulatory environment picked up. And we sensed that exactly this is the right time to go all in. We put an exciting plan. We presented it to the shareholders and we said, okay, US is the time and it's the right time. It's the right place for us to be and we need the right team and we put the right team together and we prepared ourselves. So 2019 was the starting point and then we prepared our plan to go across multiple states and learn everything that we have learned over the last years and start to go into the state by state. And now we are actually got ourselves approved in 10 states. We have launched in 7 states already and we're processing. And that's been exciting few months. You know, it has been the most exciting time ever. Yeah.
It's incredibly exciting. And just before we really get into things, actually, it might be worth just giving a little bit of background on PXP Financial and what you guys do. You mentioned your relationship with gaming there as well.
Yeah, we go a long way back. We've been actually incepted by a gaming company, BB Party, and then then it was sold later in 2017. In the meantime, the PXP Financial goes across multiple verticals, be it retail, travel, finance, and then gaming. Gaming is a very important part of our business. We are a full-blown acquirer and a payment service provider in Europe, well established, and we are also processing in point of sale and e-commerce for the retail business in US as a payment gateway. We have got our main focus in Europe, and now we have actually then expanded into the US, and the US is the exciting one for us to expand further and establish ourselves.
Yeah, and you're very well established in Europe, as you say, and your expansion into the US has unfortunately coincided with the pandemic. I mean, you're expanding into the US before that, but your real, your growth in the market has coincided with the pandemic. Has that presented any extra challenges for you?
Well, yes, of course. Like everybody else, nobody can tell me that they were all prepared for this pandemic, and what's going to come. March started, the whole machinery started, and we really didn't know what's going to happen. From one week to another, then we had to adapt to the new situation. Everybody was actually then working face to face in the offices, all the people traveling from one location to another, and from 1 second to another, it came to a stop, right? And the whole world had to adapt and start to actually get into a new mode of working, right? And one of the things was we had all these exciting plans to go across the multiple states, and we didn't know how is that going to plan out, right? Is it going to be possible at all to deal with the regulators, deal with the suppliers, how they are going to adapt to this situation? So working from home was the first thing. Everybody was locked down in some way. And the whole IT teams and the IT infrastructures did a fantastic job to actually get everybody connected and into an infrastructure that it was possible to work virtually around different locations and different areas and different teams, different expertise to bring these things together and work and provide that. That was one thing. And the whole processes, we didn't know how the regulatory process is going. The regulators were also sitting plugged in at home, or they were all had to adapt to a new situation. And we didn't have any expectation this is going to happen. And the worst thing, we were saying, okay, we are in the gaming space. We are actually, deploying to the gaming space. Well, there is not going to be any sport events, right? What's going to happen with the whole, business that, what's going to happen to the revenues, right? At the beginning of the year, we were expecting a massive growth in the gaming. Everybody was hyped up. The regulations coming. Everybody was excited to go out, right? And all of a sudden, we are facing a situation that the whole lockdown has happened and the sport events were cancelled or not possible. And then we saw that actually it is possible to work together. The regulators are working, the suppliers working, all one after another, they're coming together. The teams started to do a magnificent job of achieving results, even not by sitting together in one area, right? And also from the business growth, we saw that the other sports such as casino, poker, they're picking up faster. People were at home, they were having more time, they were bored to some extent, right? And they needed some kind of entertainment, right? They need to have some kind of interaction, right? And that helps actually to compensate to a great extent. And the things like virtual reality and esport, it started to establish itself and come to the play, right? And to some extent, the land-based casinos were closed. Okay, that's completely wiped out that part. The in-store, right? The sport betting in-store was gone, right? And then the compensation came from that other areas that I just listed. So it has been a very tough, and cumbersome. But at the same time, it's amazing that still things has moved on, and it was possible to achieve what we had to achieve. And it is still ongoing, right? We will see what's going to happen now over the next few months. The vaccine is coming and everybody's coming back. But I do think that we have still a few months ahead of us that still we need to bear before we can come out of this thing completely.
Yeah.
But this is going to also change the future. Yeah.
Yeah. Fingers crossed that the end is in sight, though. And it's a real credit to yourself and the team around you that you've still managed to make it work in spite of the ongoing situation. But
it's amazing team, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And when you first began your ascension into the US, what were some of the big obstacles, and what were some of the first hurdles that you had to overcome before you entered the market?
Yeah, I think, it was the obvious one, right? State by state is going to be a different regulations, right? And different setup, right? And different adaptation to those requirements. But as I explained before, we went before that in Europe and we did the drill, right? Quite well in Europe, going and gathered our experience experience and build up the muscle that we needed for that kind of activity. So understanding requirements and regulation in every state we went in, understanding them deep, understanding the whole process around what are the payment options that are required, different portfolio, different functionalities, different services that they are required, and understanding the mix that it needs to be put together in order to be, applied and rolled out in those states. And that was one of the things, right? That was, I think it was. We were expecting it, but not to this extent, right? But that was something that it was challenging. So that was one aspect of that. The other one was then obviously it's not a sort of a easy timelines. All the environment, all the operators, everybody was under the great pressure to roll out the processes, to be the first one in those states, go fast to each and every state and establish themselves. So there was a huge time pressure to deliver those services on time and in a timely manner to those. So fighting against the time, and making sure that you manage a very tight timelines and deadlines and to deliver those. That meant the team had to go the extra mile, had to stay over the weekend, had to do over the time that it was required in order to achieve this. So that was also one aspect. And the things were always taking more time, right? And some of them are externally driven, right? Because the regulator takes time to go and approve and issue the licenses. And how do you deal with this situation? And in order to be flexible enough so that the moment the license comes, then you can actually roll it out. So to keep the whole momentum going on that one and get themselves ready. So those things there were, and it's not a homogeneous market, right? So there are different rules and requirements and different approaches. So this is something that was expected, but to some level it was surpassed our expectation of that, right?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, that fragmented regulation, if you like, is something that is sort of similar to the EU and to Europe. Are there any other similarities? Are there any other big differences from the European market that you notice when you expand into the US?
Yeah, I think one of the things is in US, as we touched upon it, is the different regulatory and also, the number of the payment options in Europe. There are more varieties of the alternative payment options, right? To the US. The US has got mainly card and ACH and the wallet and a few others ones that we have on the horizon. That's something that is picking up and they're going to be more, right? And more. And the other one is actually the issue around the conversion rates on the card processings, right, and the rejections of the cards, right. That's something that is still, in Europe there is a more of acceptance across the multiple issuers that providing the cards, and the US is picking up, right. That's something that we are also noticing and working on those conversions.
And so you anticipate that the amount of alternative payment methods in the US will grow, and obviously you're with such a well-established European brand, and with your already established European footprint, you're well positioned to
absolutely. That's something that. Yeah, that's absolutely. I think that's one of the things that we do quite well in Europe. We have, card and not card alternative payment options, a vast variety of those. And one of the skills that we have set up is how do we integrate a variety of those alternative payment options? How do we offer that via a single API? How do we actually reduce the complexity to deal with all those different payment options that are required to service a market and make it simple for a merchant and an operator to offer the variety of the choices that they need to offer their customers, so that the customer has got all the different variety of the payment options that they have, be it a wallet, be it a voucher, be it a card, or be it whatever, right? So that they find the right portfolio for their payment. So that's one of the things that we did well. And I think that's going to be also helpful for us, because that's exactly what we're doing. Through a single API, we are masking the whole complexity and reducing that complexity so that there is one single API integration to that all complex payment options behind it with all the functionalities that are related to that one.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if you were, as we come to the halfway point, by the way, I would like to invite anyone listening to drop any questions in there. I'm sure Kamran will be happy to answer. But this is one that will be relevant for a lot of people listening, I'm sure. If you're a newer company and you're looking to start out in the US or enter the US market, what would be some of the key learning points and lessons that you would give, having already embarked on this journey?
Yeah, I think the hygiene factor, obviously have enough resources. It's going to be a resource-intensive expansion. Is going to be multiple state. It's a multiple state game, and you need to actually understand that there is resources required in order to do that. And it's not going to be a sprint, it's going to be a marathon. So you need to be prepared to invest enough time, and it's not going to be a short-term, entry and then going out. It's going to be a long-term plan and a sustainable plan over the years. So that's something that needs to be in the mindset that before you go on this journey and embark on this journey, so that you're prepared what kind of a game you're going into, right? The other one is also make sure that basically you've got your structured business case, you're funded well, and you're going to this journey. So understanding the whole structure quite from the right front. And then picking the right partner that can give you the right functionality and the right approach to the market, because you do not want to have a big number of the partners on the way. You want to have the right partners, and there are a few good ones on the market that you can pick so that they can provide you the right functionalities and the services, be it the payment options, be it the risk management services, be it the KYC of the customers, so that you get more and more from out of one hand, and you make sure that you have got your redundancy set up, right? Is also, you should not have the reliance on one partner. You should have your redundancy, but the number of those partners need to be reduced, and make sure that you understand that, right? And they are the main ones that I can think of, right? And to round it up, it's an exciting market. Be prepared that it's going to explode over the years and it's going to get really big, but don't expect it to be right from the get-go. And it's going to build up, and that's a market that needs to adapt and grow, right? Yeah.
And in a similar token, if you're a firm in the US and you're looking to really expand that footprint, what would the advice be from that front, from that perspective?
Yeah, I think if you're a US, basically understand the regulatory environments quite well. That's the same approach. It's going to be the same, playing field for everybody, right? Understanding the right payment portfolio that you need to put together in order to enable your customers to actually access your product and pay for your services and your products. That's also a very key one. And obviously, same type of approach, funding it quite well. That's important, right?
Yeah, and really, really important advice. And for the US gaming market, you've mentioned sort of how exciting it is and how much it's going to explode. What would be some of your, if I could push you for some predictions on how you feel the market will change and what you think will happen in the US gaming market, what would they be?
I think in line with all the other industries, right? This multi-channel, omni-channel, this whole payment across the multiple channels is going to be a very key one for us, and over the next year. So payment is going to be very much, it depends where you are. It doesn't matter where you are or where you're sitting or which device it's going to be all in the same kind of same kind of environment. So you should have the same kind of experience. That's quite key, I think, around that. And I think COVID has changed the way that we are behaving. I know that everybody thought at the beginning it's going to be a short one, and now we see that this lasts longer than anybody could have expected it. And this is going to also change the market. I think the push into the e-sport and all that virtual reality and all those activities, they're going to be still big, even post-COVID, and when everything goes back to normal. That's going to be still a big part of our gaming industry and our industry that going forward. So that's going to be quite key, right? And obviously, I think it's going to be all more, smooth. The digitalization is going to be pushed forward. We're going to have all that online experience more and more as we go along, right? That has done wonders for the digitalization over the last few months, right?
So you think the digitalization that has been accelerated by COVID, if you like, it's here to stay. It's only going to get more. It's not. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to also change the way we are working, right? All the business travels are going to be reduced. All the people, the office spaces are going to be reduced. People saw that it's working, remotely and from home, it's going to be possible. So that's going to have a sort of a shift of how we are interacting and how we're doing and how the cost structure of the companies are going to be, where they're going to spend their money and spend their resources, right? It's going to be more into the digitalization world rather than the other surrounding areas, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting, we talk about things that are going to be a big focus in the US, and they are sometimes very similar to things we are seeing in the UK anyway, and in Europe as well, I think. And when you talk about that omni-channel experience, how important is it that it is seamless and it is smooth and it is efficient?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely key, because you don't want to have a sort of an e-commerce experience and then a point of sale experience and your mobile pad or wherever you are, right? So you don't want the different experiences for your customer. You want a seamless experience for your customer. This frictionless approach is key for everybody. And I think it's also at the back, all the data that you need. You want to make sure that the customers are getting the right approach and then the right offering and the right services. And on these systems, they need to be all interlinked, and at the back, they understand that this is the same customer is traveling across, and it has got this continued behavior. I think this is also one of the things that is going to help to have a more precise and a more relevant offering for the customer's needs and requirements. And that's going to be also key. It's also very important for the merchants to understand their data. The data is going to be a key one, and how they're going to interact with that data. And if you have got multiple systems across, which they are not actually, under one roof, and they are not, providing a multi-channel experience and multi-channel back office service, right? That's going to be a very big obstacle around that. And I think this is going to be key, and that's what we're seeing. The customers are going towards that. They don't want to have different experiences, right? That's as simple as that. And you see how the different payment options are coming and actually enhancing that, right? And offering that experience.
Yeah, I think that is a theme I've noticed as well. It's not just about having that data, but it's being able to use that data fruitfully, if you like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think to the benefit of the consumers, right? At the end of the day, they need to be benefiting around that, because the merchants need to be more precise in what they can offer and have a better offering and a more cost-effective offering for the consumers at the end of the day, understanding the consumers better.
Yeah, that really is pivotal. And at the beginning, you mentioned, I'm conscious of our clock ticking down, but at the beginning, you mentioned you're in 10 states at the moment and you're continuously looking to expand. I wondered if I could just get an insight into some of the states that are looking more prosperous at the moment for expansion.
Yeah, I think what we have done is that we have expanded to West Virginia, Indiana, Colorado, right, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and I think we are just about to go to the Michigan. There are a few others ones that they are on our list, and we're going to expand to. And always we are listening to very closely to the our customers, right? Where are they going to drive us? Basically, we want to be everywhere, right? But the priority of those states is going to be very much aligned to the need of our customers and their requirements. And that's one of the key success factors for us, because we have actually, listened very closely to their needs and requirements and tried to actually establish what they needed in the timelines that they needed it, right? And not what it was, it was just always a fight against the time. And I think 2021 is not going to be any different. It's going to be a multiple state, 10 states launch, another 10 states probably, or even more. Right. And one of the things that we also learned is that basically it's getting easier per state to roll it out, because the systems are more covering multiple functionalities that is required per regulators, and the collection of the functionality that's required is grown, and it's enabling us a faster rollout.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's really interesting, and it will be interesting to see, especially once we sort of get beyond COVID a little bit, hopefully soon, how the states do continue expanding and evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to 2021. I think it's going to be an exciting year, and we are here to stay. As I said, we are all in, and we want to expand fully into the US, and that's going to be an amazing journey for everybody. And this is going to be a very, very exciting time.
Brilliant. And just a final one, just on a bit more of a light-hearted one. You've been very successful working from home. I just wondered if you could give any tips, because we look like we still have quite a bit of a period all working from home. Any tips on working from home productively?
I think it's very easy to get trapped into this, that's sitting in front of your laptop all the time, right? So exercise is quite a key one, right? It's definitely, get out, have that time off and do some kind of exercise, right? And whatever that is, going out, running, or I don't know, do yoga or whatever, right? That's keeping the balance, and that's helped me, right? I started with yoga during the time, and that was the the balance that you needed to actually to get that Christmas, right? And this is the time that we need to sit at home and not travel and work from home. So let's make the most of it and try to enjoy the family, the social interaction, and cherish the time that we didn't have with the family, that we missed at that time, right? Be it with your wife or kids or whoever that is, right? And that's another aspect of it. I think it's going to, it's going, as you say, it's going to be hard, right? And having that, balance between work and still have the interaction with your friends and your family members via Zoom or whatever, WhatsApp or whatever that is, right? And I'm keeping that social interaction going, right? So this is
Brilliant.
basically.
Yeah, really wise words. And Kamran, thank you ever so much for your time, and thank you ever so much for your insights.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure you'll be around digitally the next couple of days at the conference. So anybody that wants to reach out, please reach out.
More than happy. Yeah, thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.